I don't know what it is or why, but I'm always really interested in stories that are inspired by the Pied Piper of Hamelin. I think we watched a production of it when I was about 7 or 8 at school, and I've always been interested in it. So, the Pied Piper of Guadalupe is something that definitely appealed to me straight away, and I really enjoyed it. This was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. It didn't win, and had it won, I completely would have understood because I feel like it's quite enjoyable. It's a nice interpretation of a classic story. And who doesn't love Sylvester and Speedy Gonzales? This is, of course, a Speedy Gonzales cartoon, directed by Friz Freleng and Hawley Pratt, written by John W. Dunn. Obviously, we have the brilliant Blanc as the voice of Speedy, and Sylvester taking on the role of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. He is trying to lure these mice into a bottle or a jug, and he's obviously hypnotizing these mice, and they're all coming along. But Speedy will not be hypnotized. He refuses to fall into the trap. And while he's trying to resist this hypnosis, he's also trying to rescue the other rodents. He's got a lot on his plate just now. Will he manage? He is Speedy Gonzales. He is a super mouse in that regard. I think that the way this narrative developed was really fun. Quite predictable in some places, but sometimes I thought the way Sylvester reacted was a bit unpredictable, and that was quite nice and something that I enjoyed. It's always fun, especially when it's based on a classic story like the Pied Piper. It's always fun to have elements that are not as expected, as long as they work within the structure of the narrative, and that's absolutely the case here. So I have no issues with the narrative, and obviously I have no issues with the actual animation. Warner Brothers were at the top of their game at this point. I think kind of 60s and 70s Warner Brothers were when they really shone and started to put out some really fantastic and creative animations. And I don't know if I would call this Warner Brothers' heyday. Let's face it, there are a lot of other things they've done since then, but certainly for their animations, their Looney Tunes content visually is stunning. It absolutely is. Their foregrounds are a lot stronger than their backgrounds, which sounds obvious, that's usually the case, but I find that the backgrounds of Looney Tunes cartoons are not usually as detailed or as striking as they are from other studios. That's not a problem. It's absolutely not a problem. It's just an observation, but also something that I particularly observed in this cartoon. But that's irrelevant. I really like the animation style, of course, and the only thing I've noticed is that the style of the hats seem so much less detailed than the rest of the animation. I don't know if that's intentional, like they just kept the hats very basic, so they didn't detract from anything else, because the hats are large and there are a lot of them. They could literally and figuratively overshadow the mice. I don't know, I'm nitpicking at this point. And really, there's nothing to nitpick. The animation style is lovely. The narrative is an absolute treat. As I said, quite a big fan for no reason that I know of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. The Pied Piper of Guadalupe is a really lovely interpretation of this story. I think Sylvester plays the role very, very well. And Speedy Gonzales is an absolute delight. It didn't win the Oscar. If it did, I wouldn't have been surprised. It's definitely one I think you'll enjoy.